Sup, chat? Happy Mushoku Mondays, everybody. Welcome back to yet another Trek the Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation novel series. We are on Jobless Oblige, part 4 of... I'm thinking 6 at this point. I'm thinking 6 at this point. I was actually thinking this was going to be one, Mushoku Monday per act. But as I took the rest of the PDF and put it into my document, the page count for the last 2 acts is extremely long, so I don't think I can do 2 more parts. We'll see as usual. I mean, I can read through this, and there's not much to really kind of yap about. It's always based on the yap. How much I cook, how much I yap about something, that's always going to change the length of the Mushoku Mondays themselves, so we'll see as it goes, but right now I'm thinking page count-wise, it's looking like 3 more parts, so we'll see. But anyways, before that, hey chat, welcome to the premiere. Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday and hope you have the rest of your week. That's fantastic as well. Hopefully your 2026 is turning out well so far. We always, wish people happy New Year's, but we never like check in on people. Hopefully your 2026 is going well after its first week. But yes, other than that, thank you guys so much for your support, your kind words. It's you guys that keeps me going, keeps this going throughout the entire journey through Mushoku Monday, through Mushoku Tensei, and into, Jobless Oblige and Roxy Gets Serious, and I think that's pretty much it. We'll see. I think that's pretty much it. Trolling like usual. But yes, as per usual, greatly appreciate everybody that supports channel monetarily through Patreon, tips, links, super thanks, memberships, all that stuff. Thank you guys so much. Especially last week, Rose Moist, with a whole bunch of them supers. Just sprinkling them like crazy as usual. Thank you so much for your support. It means a great deal to me. And Severo coming over the super. Thank you. You guys are absolutely amazing. But with that said, I think I don't really have too much to cover from last week. I did note that, yes, technically the noble at some point mentions that he must be employed by the peace-loving moon itself. I'm kind of wondering, after I was, got through that whole segment and I went to edit it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess knowing now that Thunder Idiot shows up, I'm wondering if he's talking to him, because it seems like he's obviously there to help the guy out, so I'm guessing that might be the peace-loving moon itself. I don't know. It seemed like a really odd comment. Other than that, yes, Serial. I hate this sticks in my head. These people, like this one person that's upset about how I pronounce every damn name. Sadaru. How I figured that was actually the kanji itself is Sadaru. It's Sadaru. For me personally, as an English speaker, obviously I'm reading thousands upon thousands of English words. And so when I run into an English name, I want to read it English-like. And I always pronounce Ariel as Ariel. And so when I see an S before her name, I pronounce it Serial. But yes, technically Ariel's name is Ariaru. And so technically, adding an S at the beginning, it would be Sadaru. So I don't know that I'm going to ever remember to pronounce it the Japanese way of Sadaru. I'll try. I doubt it. So you're just going to have to live with me saying Serial. But no, I did... A thought occurred to me while we were doing the premiere. I'm like, they're putting so much emphasis on her being like this pure, beautiful flower. It never really dawned on me as I was sitting here critiquing about the fact that this entourage around her can't possibly be, created by her. It's probably created by her mother to guard her or whatever. And I'm thinking, but that's just like Ariel. Whenever Ariel's around people, she's perfect. She's this beautiful thing. She doesn't do anything wrong. Everybody wants to follow her. But then what's her whole kick? She likes that behind the scenes that she can shatter that for everybody. And that's her big release. And I'm thinking to myself, I bet like daughter like mother. I have no doubt daughter like mother. I cannot wait for Refugin to pull that rug out from underneath. I mean, it's not going to pull out from underneath because I'm expecting it now, but I'm just thinking I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that to happen. And if it does happen, I did not pre-read. So like pre-read. We'll see though. I think that's it. We'll see. But yeah, Act 4, Final Battle, the evil secret organization, the Shadow Legion. Chapter 10, In the Past, Graduation. I'm going past again. See what happens to Sadaru. The Asura Royal Academy has a curriculum that is both highly advanced and intense. However, because it's so intensive, the period of enrollment is set short. Only 3 years. You can only stay enrolled for 3 years. Me, Pax, and Sadaru. The relationship between the three of us continued as always, but it was about to come to an end. It was graduation day. And again, we already know that he's going to leave her behind. The graduation ceremony was held at the Silver Palace, the royal castle of the Asura Kingdom. All the graduates were gathered in a massive hall within the royal castle to hold a party. In the venue, there was no chairs, as if it were to show that all graduates were equal in this place. Only dishes were lined up in abundance on the table. Furthermore, all the graduates were dressed in formal attire, not in uniforms, but in outfits that were dresses and tuxedos. Of course, commoners could never afford such clothing, but as a graduation gift, they were each given a complete set of luxurious attire. That's actually really cool. And again, that's probably something carried over from, the academy that was kind of implemented by, Nanahoshi and whatnot. And from the ceiling hung a massive chandelier, with a radius exceeding 5 meters, brilliantly illuminating the dressed-up graduates. At the opening of the party, the king of Asura herself stood upon the stage and delivered a congratulatory address to us graduates. This was a tremendous honor. After all, many among us would not normally have the status to even dream of meeting the king face to face. In addition to the king, many key figures of the nation were present, such as the prime minister of the Asura Kingdom and upper-class nobles whose names echoed throughout the land. Not only that, astonishingly, there were also 2 of the famed 7 knights of Asura, Doga, known as the king's gatekeeper, and water god Reda, known as the king's great shield. I'm kind of wondering why they bother having this much of a show. I mean, the graduation's not going to be very often. We're talking like once a year, so this is not like too much of an obligation for them to have to do, but Ariel's busy. Reda's busy. Why would they go through this much effort for just a class of students? Very interesting. These 2 were great heroes who once fought alongside my father against the North god Kalman, the ogre god, and the fighting god. To me, they were legendary figures, people I would consider it a great honor to see from afar. Among the crowd, I also spotted my father and mothers. My father was... Well, no, I think I just answered my own question. The fact that they're all there is because it's Rudius' son. I don't know. I don't see this being like a normal thing. I mean, he almost plays it out like this is a normal thing. They have them all show up every single year, but I don't know. I can see Ariel definitely wanting to show up for his son, but I don't know that Reda would be there. Among the crowd, I also spotted my father and mothers. My father was dressed in a sharp, formal outfit he never wore at home, standing tall and interacting with those around him with a smile. Even compared to the upper-class nobles of Asura, his presence was impressive. Some of the graduates were gathered around him in admiration. The venue, the food, the honored guest, even though I heard the rumors of his grandeur beforehand, it still took my breath away. It was like another world entirely. I thought the same thing when I first entered this school. But, once again, I was struck by how much the Asura Kingdom felt like a world apart from reality. Again, right here he's pointing out this is a normal thing. It's odd they're putting this much work into something that, again, is going to have a lot of commoners and just nobles. It's commoners and nobles. Upper class, lower class nobles and commoners. Why would they put this much effort into celebrating their graduation? In fact, it really was another world, especially for Pax and me. After all, even here, we were isolated. Yep, looks like Sadiaru is as popular as ever today. Unlike us, we stood at the edge of the hall, watching Sadiaru surrounded by many students, while Pax and I quietly ate our food alone. She was a center of attention. Countless students gathered around her. It wasn't just students. Nobles who were attending as guests also approached her to greet her. In terms of status, she was probably higher than many of the adult nobles present here. She was so busy greeting everyone with a flower-like smile that she didn't even have time to eat, but she seemed accustomed to it. In fact, she looked livelier now than when she was talking to us. That's interesting. That implies to me that's the eldest. I don't know if they've actually specified before that she is the eldest daughter. I think so far it's just said that she's a daughter. Yeah, technically, if she's the eldest daughter, then yes, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the idea that she might possibly be the next crowned king, potentially. This kingdom hasn't been laid out that it has to be a male. Again, Ariel is a female, and she is king. So there's a potential that, yes, Sadiaru could be the next king. Oh, it's Her Majesty. Among those offering their congratulations to Sadiaru was her mother, the king of the Asura Kingdom, Ariel Anamoy Asura, a remarkable king who ascended to the throne at a young age and has continued to bring peace to the kingdom ever since. Even from a distance, her beauty was evident, and her voice could captivate anyone who heard it. After saying some words to Sadiaru, The queen turned her gaze towards me. It's so funny that it can't make up its mind. Is that a mess up? Is it a queen or is it a king? Can't make up the mind. When our eyes met, she began walking towards me, accompanied by Doga and Reda. Seeing this, I hurriedly set my plate down and moved to kneel. There's no need for that. Today, you are the stars of the day. Hearing her words, I glanced to Pax in confusion. He placed his hand over his chest and bowed his head gracefully. It was an informal, courtly salute. I am Pax Sharon Jr. It is an honor to meet you, Your Majesty. Following this, I placed my hand over my chest and bowed my head. I am Sieghart Saladin Greyrat. It is an honor to meet you, Your Majesty. Ariel was a friend of my father's, so she likely already knew my name. In fact, I had met her a few times when I was very young. However, this might be the first time I introduced myself in such a formal setting. As I raised my head with that thought, the queen smiled softly. Congratulations to the both of you on your graduation. I've heard the two of you face many hardships in this distant land due to difference in culture and even the color of your hair. It must have been hard being away from home, but I'm truly glad that you're able to graduate successfully. Have you managed to learn anything valuable these 3 years? So she's aware of it. She's aware this has been happening. Again, my whole thing was like, I assumed that she was going to put something in effect to stop this kind of stuff. Like, she'd be protecting them. Again, there's technically always limits. Again, this is a situation where she's trying to keep a lot of people happy as she puts into effect all the changes that she wants to make. She can't just, like, stomp in there and say, stop doing things I don't like. It's complicated. Things are complicated. But still interesting that she's noting that she's aware of it. Yes, the economy of Asura Kingdom. The techniques of domain management, ways of winning people's hearts, leadership skills, and how to manage subordinates. Every lesson was truly remarkable. Yes, I feel the same way. Then, continuing her words, Ariel gently leaned her face closer to mine. Take my girl. She'd be like, take my girl. You better take my girl. How do you like my girl? She should already be over 40, yet her beauty had not faded in the slightest. And her voice, a voice so pleasant that people whispered it might even contain some form of magic. I was convinced of that for the longest time. I still think there's something there. Fuji didn't want to get into. My heart thumped loudly in my chest. But the next words that came from her lips froze that beating heart with sheer dread. It seems you and Sadiadu are quite close. If you so desire, I would not mind arranging an official engagement for the two of you. I thought she was going to say it wasn't working out and she's aware of it. She feels like it's working out. Sadiadu must not be telling her much. Sadiadu had approached me because she was ordered to do so by Ariel. Those are Sadiadu's own words. But now, the true weight of those words came crashing down on me as harsh reality. That child also seemed to like you very much. If a betrothal were decided, she would surely be delighted. I have already received assurance from your father that, should you wish it, he will approve. This feels mean. I don't think... we don't really have much perspective of her. I don't know that Sadiadu's that sold on him yet, or if she's just... Yes, mother, I absolutely love him. She's not going to say no, because as much as we spent so much time on Rudius's children and how they have... like, in their own mind, these expectations implanted that were never made by Rudius, she's 1,000 times worse. Sadiadu's 1,000 times worse. No doubt. And she will refuse in her mind, no matter how she feels, of the idea of not doing what mother is expecting of her. I'll consider it. There's no rush. We can wait a few more years. Well, that answers that question that he left. With that, Ariel gave a soft smile and nodded. Then she turned to face Pax. Pax Sharon Jr., I have heard much about you as well. I don't think we've ever seen her discuss that situation. I mean, she helped. She helped with all of that stuff, but I don't remember anything discussed about the aftermath. Yes. If you ever find it difficult to remain in the King Dragon realm, you may become a citizen of Asura. You are very talented after all. Swooping him up. Ariel knows how to pick him. She knows how to pick him. Of course, it's not just your talent. Your uncle, Zenoba Sharon, and I study at the same university. If you are his kin, I need no further reason to extend my hand to help you. I will have to decline. While I appreciate the generous offer, I have my duties as a member of the royal family. I don't know what he's going to pull off unless Randolph's going to help him out. I mean, technically Sig can go with him as well if he wants to. But again, we see that he goes up north. We see that Sig does not go with him. I see. Ariel smiled as if neither of our refusals bothered her in the slightest. Why would it? She's got tons of fish to fry. Then, as we bowed our heads, she turned her back to us and returned to the center of the hall. Now then, please enjoy the ceremony. Only a few minutes had passed, perhaps not even a full minute, yet I felt a deep exhaustion, as if I'd been talking for hours. So this is what it meant to be a ruler of a great nation. I had wanted to speak to Doga and Rada as well, but I couldn't even bring myself to approach them. Yeah, this is like a part. He's like, oh, these two dudes that fight side by side with my father. He's heard all these stories. Like, he so badly wants to talk to him. Uh-huh. So, is it true that you did this? Uh-huh. And then this happened and this happened? Uh-huh. And? Uh-huh. So, you gonna tell me what happened? Uh-huh. Fight lots. Adoga. Her Majesty is amazing. Yeah, truly. Pax and I exchanged just a few words. That alone was enough to convey the overwhelming presence Ariel carried. As Ariel departed, another figure approached us. It was my father. The student... Well, gosh! Guys! Rudius! He's gonna talk to his son! Get ready! If he doesn't say a damn thing... Rudius approached us and immediately started talking to Pax, and I didn't see father for the rest of the night. The students had been crowding around him, scattered like spiders, when they saw him heading in our direction. Hey, Sig, congratulations on graduating. Thank you so much, father. Wow, he actually talked to his son. I'm gonna get emotional right now. You don't need to be so formal with me. I placed my hand over my chest and bowed my head, and my father returned the gesture with a wry smile. Why are you standing over here in the corner? This is where I feel most comfortable. I see. Well, I guess I could understand that. It was meant to be half joking, but apparently my father didn't catch on, muttering something about how some people just hate crowds. He nodded in agreement. He's like, feel you, bro. I feel you, son. Anyway, congratulations. I heard you ranked first in the martial arts section of the graduation exams. I couldn't be prouder. No, I think that much is only natural. I cannot allow myself to tarnish the names of my father and my master. Rather, I feel ashamed for not taking the first place overall. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Expectations. All these expectations. My father gave a wry smile. He probably assumed it was only natural for me to not rank first overall. After all, compared to my great father, we children were utterly lacking in ability. He likely didn't expect much from me. Or so I thought. Again, where do they get this? The only thing I can think of is just, again, it's the whole, like, putting Rudius on this massive pedestal and being the child of that thing that's on the pedestal and never amounting to all the great stories and greatness that is him. It wasn't like Rudius was, like, top of the class. Yeah, in magic, he was amazing, but, like, it wasn't like he was top of the class. So, like, where does this come from? It's like, not even Rudius was the top of the class. Why would that be expected of you? But then my father said it. Well, it's fine. You've graduated today. You're an adult now. I have high expectations for you. This is right after the Otis situation. And he finally told Otis something that he needed to hear. And now he's finally realized he's got to tell Sig something he needs to hear. Again, this is where Reese is finally learning to communicate better. Briefly, apparently, because it doesn't seem like it lasts very long. High expectations. At those words, my heart pounded like a drum. Thump, thump. Even more violently than when Her Highness had spoken to me, and it wouldn't stop. High expectations. What exactly was my father expecting of me? Was he expecting me to marry someone? I love it, because it's like, once again, showing how Rudius fails to communicate to these kids. They don't hear a damn thing from him. They don't know a damn thing about what their father wants. They just think their father expects all this stuff of them, or doesn't expect anything at all, or just absolutely thinks they're the stain of the family. And then the moment that he finally says something, the kid doesn't even know what to do with it. Sig, literally, he's like, finally, some sort of praise in the expectations department, because again, they all want expectations from their father. Finally getting that, he doesn't even know what to do with it. Stig's like, what does this mean? What does this mean? It's stupid. Was he expecting me to marry someone? Was that what he was expecting? When I remained silent, my father turned to face Pax I bet he'll be very clear with Pax. Congratulations to you as well. I am Pax Sharon Jr. It is an honor to meet you, Your Excellency. Please, don't call me Excellency. They've been calling me the Mage King lately, but in reality, I'm not that important. My father shrugged as he spoke. It was overly modest of him. After all, in this setting, he was someone important enough to be casually addressed by the king of the Austria Kingdom herself. Pax, I've heard about this matter as well. As I was thinking that, my father suddenly brought up something like that. That matter. Again! Like, just the most, like, obscure words to seek, and then he goes into some great detail about something with Pax. Oh yeah, by the way, Pax, let me talk about some great details about your life. Get out of the way, kid. Get out of here, see? I don't need you right now. Just what matter was he talking about? I had some idea, but also none at all. I wish I could do something to help you. No. Being allowed to study abroad at the Royal Academy like this was only possible thanks to your efforts, Your Excellency. Anything beyond this is something I must overcome my own. Interesting, again, because I thought they were just separating them, but apparently this was something that he helped them have done. Now, again, that could be the idea they wanted to get him pushed out somewhere. They possibly contacted Rudius and say, hey, can you help us out? And he possibly stepped in to kind of orchestrate him going here specifically. I see. If you won't say that much, I won't press the matter. Do your best. I was the only one who didn't understand the meaning behind the exchange between Father and Pax. After saying that, my father gave us a small bow and returned to the venue. That was the first time that Father talked to me in many years, and it was the last time he'll talk to me for the next 3 years as well. I didn't see what kind of expression my father had on his face at that moment. From the moment that he told me he had expectations of me, I couldn't bring myself to look at his face, and my heartbeat didn't calm down until the graduation ceremony was over. These kids, I swear, dude. Can a single one of these children of Rudius be, like, decently connected to their father? Maybe Chris. Maybe Chris will be the first one that'll have, like, a legitimate connection to her father. Because it seems like he's doting on her. Now watch, Chris ends up being the one that turns out the worst because she's actually doting on him. Then he goes, good, I chose right with the other ones. But yeah, everything with Pax here, I assume, is Rudius wanting to help Pax out because of what happened to his father. I think with Rudius, there's a lot of guilt when it comes to his father. And so, obviously, anything he can do to help him out, he's going to step in there. I'd kind of be curious if he would eventually help Pax claim Sharon. I think in the end, it's probably going to turn into... I mean, technically, yes, he's in play that he could potentially take over the King Dragon realm. Again, his mother is of the King Dragon realm. His father is Sharon. He has both choices available to him. I don't see why not just staying in King Dragon realm. After the graduation ceremony ended, I was walking home together with Pax. There wasn't much conversation. Once the graduation ceremony ended, we would return to our hometowns. Before the next term started, I needed to get my travel preparations in order and leave the dormitory. If I didn't, there wouldn't be any rooms available to the incoming first years. The time to part ways with Pax was drawing near. Again, surprised that he's staying at the dorm and not at their house. The house could be far away from there. So Pax, you knew my father, huh? On the way, I brought it up. Yeah, your father was involved in my father's death. He's been feeling guilty about it and has been supporting me in many ways. He sees it. Now, there's a chance that Rudius said it, but there's a good chance that Rudius has been dancing around it and Pax is just like, yeah, he feels bad for that. He did something. Those words made me remember an anecdote my father once told me, one I heard only once, the kingdom of Sharon, a small country in the west. West? Isn't, like, central continent, like, center southernish? Not that far south, but, like, center south? Why west? Like, Austria Kingdom, where they're at right now, is west. Weird. I mean, west of, like, the world. Like, the western continent, yeah. It was a story about a civil war that took place there. The seventh prince, who had been exiled to the King Dragon realm, gathered strength there and returned to his homeland, seeking to seize the throne. My father, together with his friend Zenobia Sharon, took part in a civil war. They sided with the seventh prince and fought off a northern country that tried to take advantage of the chaos to snatch away territory. While my father achieved victory in those local battles, the outcome of that civil war ended in a bitter conclusion. The seventh prince died, and someone else seized the throne. As a result, the kingdom of Sharon broke away from being a vassal state of the King Dragon realm and became independent. However, that regime didn't last long. News. Update. Update. Caught between the King Dragon Realm and the Northern Country, it was eventually destroyed. I guess Pax can take over the King Dragon Realm then. Next that one out. Again, technically Zenoba brought up something like that during Nenahoshi's Gourmet, that kingdom being gone in their generation. So it did kind of imply there as well. After the Civil War, only the 7th Prince's wife and son remained. They remained in the King Dragon Realm, but were forced to live in shame and hardship. After all, it was because of the 7th Prince's actions that the King Dragon Realm lost Sharon as a subordinate nation. My father felt responsible as well, and said he intended to support the 7th Prince's child until he became independent and capable on his own. And the 7th Prince's name, now I remember, it was Pax. Pax Sharon. Pax Sharon Jr. was a son of the 7th Prince Pax, who died in that civil war. Again, kind of how I was thinking it was going to go. Again, news that the fact that Sharon itself just collapsed, got destroyed between the two sides. I kind of assumed at some point it was just going to be the King Dragon Realm stepping in and saying, no, you're going to be a vassal state again. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah, that Pax guy, he's kind of an idiot, whatever. But again, a lot of what Pax did was, again, his father, what he did was sort of in cahoots with the King Dragon Realm. They supported him. They helped him through that. So yeah, I don't see the other individuals that coming up in play are going to be accepting him, are going to be accepting, to be a part of the King Dragon Realm ever again. Well, honestly, today was the first time I actually spoke to your father directly. So maybe a lot of that stuff is from Randolph, or his mother. I heard that we were receiving support, but we never met before. I see. To be honest, the reason I approached you was because of that. When I saw the son of someone who had been supporting me all this time, being all alone, I felt like I had to help. I mean, again, he's not saying it maliciously, like, I need to buddy up with you. I'm going to get something, I'm going to gain something if I, buddy up with you. But it's one of those things where, like, selfish desires sprout friendship. Like, initially you do it for this reason, but then it turns into this. We were kind of hitting on that with Lucy's, side chapters, with her going to the academy. People are going to buddy up with her, and they're going to want to do that to curry favor with Rudius. But then friendships come from that. I didn't know. No, rather, I couldn't remember. The story about the battle of the Kingdom of Sharon ultimately ended in defeat. My father never liked talking about it much, and I didn't like hearing about that story either, so I never asked many times. I had only heard it once or twice at most. My father never liked talking about it much, and I didn't like hearing that story either, so I never asked many times. So this implies that he heard the story from Rudius, obviously, or possibly Roxy or somebody. He heard the story of it, but he knew that Rudius didn't like talking about it, so he never asked about the story, and I didn't like hearing it. Maybe he didn't like hearing it because Rudius didn't look like he enjoyed talking about it. I can see that. Yeah, every time Rudius talks about it, he looks pained. Yeah, again, that hit him hard. When Rudius came home after losing Pax, he was wrecked. He came into his house and literally said, "Am I allowed to be happy? Am I allowed to be happy right now? I'm surrounded by my family. Am I allowed to accept this?" It hit him hard. It was a big failure. And a lot of that, yes, was that fact that he let down Orsted. He was afraid he was going to lose his support there. He had to fight to get that support back. He had to fight to make sure that, Orsted didn't give up. I hope you don't take this the wrong way. It's true that I never mentioned it before, but I never intended to deceive you. I just thought that if you didn't know about me, then that was fine. That's true. It's not like he came there and plainly wrote it out. He didn't know who I was, so it's fine. Pax said that and apologized. I shook my head at him. It wasn't something that I intended to press him about. No, it's fine. The fact that you reached out to me really helped. I can only feel grateful, not angry. I'm relieved to hear you say that. Yeah, again, if he supports him, who cares? Use me. I think there is an element of like, yeah, I think the realization that there was use there could really hurt you, but in the end, if it helps you get through a really difficult position, it might be a benefit to you no matter what. He was a little different from Sadiadu. There was probably no calculation behind his actions. Or rather, the moment he introduced himself as Sharon, I should have realized. On the contrary, Pax might have been disappointed that I didn't react when he gave his name. I mean, there's a chance there's other Sharons. I mean, yes, there was the whole thing where, like, in the story, it should be told that everybody was wiped out except for Zenoba and the Sharon royal family. But, anyways, that aside, what was that about earlier? What my father and Her Majesty was saying about helping you and such. Pax Pax gave a slightly dark smile. When I return to the King Dragon Realm, I'm supposed to be granted a territory. You're going to become a lord? Again, he kept saying, when I get my territory, when I get my territory, when I get my territory. It wasn't an if, it was a when. On the surface, yes, but it's nothing grand. The land I'm being given is an isolated piece of territory on the northern edge of the forest, south of the Red Dragon's lower jaw, in the King Dragon Realm. I've been ordered to develop and settle that area. And I bet that's one of those situations where they're giving him something crappy. They're giving him something that is uncultivatable, and they're just trying to get rid of him. I bet it's going to be something that he's going to have a lot of wit to get through. The great mountain range that separates the kingdom of Asura from the other nations, the Red Dragon Mountains. Because of the countless red dragons inhabiting those mountains, humans cannot pass through them. However, there is one exception. A certain valley, known as the Red Dragon's lower jaw, is the only place where no red dragons live. Unless it's a straggler. There's a straggler. For that reason, it has been regarded as the most important strategic point since ancient times. Recently, since the kingdom of Asura began conducting teleportation magic circles, its value has decreased somewhat. Even so, its importance as a stronghold has not diminished. Yeah, I guess they started doing the teleportation stuff during Redundancy 3, right? I think that was the point where they're bringing up the idea that she was kicking up on that stuff. Because again, Aisha was employing a lot of that stuff. It's not strange that the King Dragon Realm would want to claim land near that stronghold as their own territory. On the contrary, now the kingdom of Asura has begun building teleportation magic circles, interference or complaints from Asura would likely lessen, making this the perfect opportunity. Okay, so it's not as volatile as I was expecting. Again, the place itself being difficult to cultivate, but it's still putting it in a position that it's something that's going to be difficult to have to deal with. It's giving a sense of contested territory. Since it's a forest, there are many monsters living there, and neighboring countries won't just sit by while the King Dragon Realm establishes a stronghold there. Yep, contested and volatile. But even so, I won't be allowed to receive direct backing from the King Dragon Realm. On top of that. What? But even so, I won't be allowed to receive direct backing? He's being given the territory. He's supposed to cultivate it, but he's not given backing. It's pretty much, here you go. Good luck. And if you pull off something, we'll bring you under our wing. That's pretty much what it is, probably. A way to get rid of him, put him in a difficult situation, and if he pulls it off, which he's probably not going to, then we'll acknowledge him, maybe. Again, they don't want him around. They don't want him gaining power. On top of that, with only a small force under my command, I'll have to complete the development on my own. My tutor is an incredibly skilled man, but his name is so well known that his mere presence would provoke the neighboring countries. Yeah. So I'm sure he won't be able to accompany me. He's still going to be alone. And that's the assumption there. It would probably make it too easy if he had Randolph at his side. It would be way too easy for him if Randolph was there at his side. That sounds impossible, doesn't it? Even I had learned in class about how terrifying and difficult developing an untamed forest could be. The forests of Asura Kingdom are relatively peaceful, but even there, it requires mobilizing thousands of people and more than 10 years of work. Or a spell from Roxy. You could just use one spell from Roxy. How could he possibly manage it without any support? Yeah, I'll probably lose my life there. That's why Her Majesty and your father spoke to me the way they did earlier. Again, it's a fool's errand. They're literally putting Pax into a losable state. They need to give him something. Just do something to make him happy and get him out of here. We don't want him in the castle. We don't want him in our court. Get him out of here. When I looked at Pax's face, he continued to speak as if it were nothing. Why would they send you to something like that? Like I told you before, it's because I'm a nuisance. I heard this before. His father had once caused great harm to the King Dragon Realm. And they were part of it. It's annoying. They were part of it. On top of that, his mother was a descendant of some unknown demon tribe. Even so, since he was still royalty, Pax possessed a legitimate right to the throne. The possibility was low, but it still existed. Yep. You understand now, right? Then why did you refuse Her Majesty's offer? Good question. 'Cause, yeah, you're not wanted there. She's offering you something here. Why wouldn't you take it? This seems like a good route. I bet his mother would be overjoyed by this. I would assume that no doubt Randolph would be happy about it. Yeah, he'll probably be safe there. Ariel will take care of him. Again, Ariel, anybody that's useful to me, if he's useful to Ariel, she gonna take care of him. Everybody that's useful to her, she takes care of because they're an asset to her. You got to nurture those assets and protect those, otherwise they're gone. You lose them, you lose them. Why would he refuse it? Pride? I mean, I can see that. Like, my father fought tooth and nail trying to get what he had. He never had anything really given. I mean, he technically did have, again, Randolph. He had things given to him. He gained things. He gained Randolph. But he was given things, tools to use in his ability to take over Sharon. But he fought tooth and nail to try to gain what he did. And so maybe a little bit of that is rubbing off onto Pax Jr., things that his father went through. My father fought for what he got, and I've been given a lot of things. And I'm given this opportunity, and now she's offering something to me. Would I do that? Probably a lot of it has to do with his mother, actually. And now I think about it. If he does come here, what happens to her? I don't know. Would they allow him to be here as a prince of the King Dragon Realm as well? That would be potentially seen as him being taken as hostage by the kingdom. And again, Rudius probably pulled a lot of strings to get him there, when normally he probably wouldn't be allowed to be there. We'll see. If you defected to the King of Asra, you could Noblesse Oblige. Even though I'm considered a nuisance, I was given the finest warrior in the kingdom as my tutor, and was even allowed to study abroad here in the King of Asra. Having lived in such comfort and luxury, it's only natural that I bear corresponding responsibility. So it is pride. It's pride. I've been given so much stuff, I need to pay it back. I need to follow through with what is expected of me. Running away from an unpleasant duty and seeking asylum, there's no way that would be forgiven. Besides, if I defect, my mother would if I defect, my mother would surely be made to take responsibility for my actions. There's a side of me that's almost like, what's new for her, though? What literally is new for her? The kind of crap that she's been put through, that's nothing new. She's been exiled this entire time. Unless something has changed for her, she has nothing. Without Pax Jr. there, she has nothing right now. Hopefully Randolph's still at her side. Again, they wanted to separate the three of them. Hopefully Randolph's still at least at her side. But again, it's pride. I've been given so much stuff. I've been given this opportunity. And again, it was probably under the guise that he would use that knowledge and whatnot for the kingdom. And if he runs away, then, yeah. And again, it's pointing it as asylum seeking. So that is sort of an aspect of, again, him breaking off from the nation. It would be seen as sort of, again, being a hostage of the kingdom. There was no escaping for him. Maybe that's truly what he believed. I clenched my teeth, unsure of what to say. But he didn't stop speaking. Though, that's only the official story. The truth is, it's a little different. It is? Yeah, I'll tell you. And only you. So there's something else. Like, I called it with those two. Again, pride and the mother. There's a third thing. Father. I plan on raising a nation. I plan on gaining so much power that I claim the King Dragon Realm. I claim something that my father failed to claim. He wanted that place. Again, part of what Pax wanted to do was create a place for him, but also for his beloved. There's a potential here that, knowing that story, Pax Jr. wants to fulfill what his father wasn't able to fulfill, making a place where his mother is accepted. Again, that was one of my original thought processes when we first got into Pax being here. When he said that, he stopped walking. He turned to face me, speaking with a tone filled with determination. I have one ambition. I also stopped walking and looked him in the eyes. Strangely enough, he seemed nervous. Usually, he was always so easygoing. But today, he seemed to be carefully choosing his words. Is he afraid of revealing something that is dangerous for him to reveal, but he wants to reveal it to Sieg? Or is it because the realization of what he's doing is dangerous? An ambition? What kind? To have a country of my own. At those words, I was speechless.
Pax's ambition was to found a nation. I will accomplish the dream my father could not.
Knew it was coming here. Again, ever since he was way back there at the slave trade, again, he was mentioning when I have my own territory, I'm like, he's got plans. This boy has got plans to fulfill what his father failed. I had sensed there was something driving him, but this was far beyond what I imagined. Not just the act of founding a nation, but also his determination to surpass his father. No wonder he always seemed to shine so brightly.
That's why this is an opportunity. I'll be able to develop a land that hasn't been claimed by anyone. And what's more, it's an isolated territory of the King Dragon Realm. If the timing is right, I might be able to declare independence.
If it's isolated enough, sure. But yeah, the moment it gets too big, they're going to step in there and say, nope. I mean, they kind of pointed that out with, the whole situation in Milos. That area was developing. What happened? Suddenly out of nowhere, Milos wants to get involved. No, it's nobody's running it, so suddenly we got to send Cliff over there and that other guy with him. Once you get big enough, suddenly everybody takes note of you. They want your resources. They want to tax you, all that kind of stuff. Pax declared this boldly, but it was a risky gamble with slim chances of success. Yeah, huge. Especially in his lifetime. It's going to take a long time to build something up. There was also no hope. If he declared independence, it would be seen as betraying the King Dragon Realm. War with them would be inevitable. That's impossible.
It's difficult, yes. I know that well. But even if I can't achieve independence, as long as I succeed in developing the land, it will be mine in both in name and in reality. I'll be able to welcome my mother there. And I'll finally be able to put everything I've learned over these 3 years to use. I can even choose my own subordinates. I'm confident I can turn it into a comfortable and thriving domain. That's far better than staying in my homeland, being despised, neglected, and living out my life in useless confinement.
Or, again to earlier, him accepting Ariel, and then becoming her subordinate. And yes, having to fulfill her expectations. He'll always be under somebody. And this is the only way that at least he can be up top. And again, give his mother that place that, again, I think Pax wanted to make for her. And now Pax Jr. wants to make for her. A place where they're allowed to live. This is what discrimination creates. It creates the desire to get away from it all. Create your own place. And hoping that you can thrive without somebody coming over and putting their boot on you. He's desiring that. I agree with him. That's a very difficult thing. Well, Sieg thinks it's impossible. Pax believes it's hard. It's going to be hard. Which makes me surprised that Sieg isn't with him. I'm kind of surprised that Sieg doesn't go with him. Again, this is this hero of justice. I can totally see him going, this is the perfect job for me. Moonlight. It was easy to say such things, but development wasn't that simple. And even if he said he could choose his own subordinates, there was no reason capable people would flock to some tiny barren land. I thought I should stop him. That it was impossible. That he needed to face reality. That seeking asylum in the kingdom of Asura would be better. If he did that, my father would surely find a way to protect both him and his mother. But I knew. Pax had been working towards this dream for a long time. He studied diligently in this faraway land of the kingdom of Asura precisely for that goal. If he had just stayed quietly in his homeland, he probably wouldn't have been sent to his death. Yet he didn't defect. Nor did he give up. He kept his sights fixed on what he wanted to achieve and deliberately chose the difficult path. That's why I couldn't stop him. Because I couldn't help but feel deeply envious of someone like him. Sieg having a little bit of an aha moment about himself and how short-sighted he is. I want to be a hero in the courtyards. Hero of justice. This dude's talking about building a nation from scratch and all these dreams and expectations that he has for himself. And I can see that element there. The idea that I want to tell him to stop, but this is a dude that has been brewing on this for a long time. And there could be a lot to do with why Pax Jr. is declining this because he's committed for so long. He's committed to that for so long that he would come here, he would do his learning here, and he would go back home and do that. But at some point, he met Sieg. And then over here, Ruiz is offering this.
Ariel's offering this. No, I've been committing this long. I have to follow through with this. He's already envisioned jumping off that ledge. He needs to do it. That's why, even knowing I'm asking for a lot, there's one thing I want to ask of you. What is it? Pax took a deep breath. He inhaled deeply. Stand at my side. He inhaled deeply, clenched his fist tightly, and, as if making up his mind, he spoke. Will you come with me? Yep. And he doesn't do it, obviously, because no, he doesn't go. What did you do, Sieg? Why did Sieg say no? I want to know why he says no. Unless Pax just tells him, never mind. I just wanted to ask you. No. Because it's basically asking Sieg to come to death. But again, he wants subordinates. He's going to have to ask somebody. Would he ask a friend? That's a big ask. Before I could respond, he continued. I know what kind of position you're in. I know that you're expected to marry Sadiaru. I know that both your father and Her Majesty Ariel want that to happen. I also understand that by saying this, it might seem like I only approached you out of calculation. The words, your father, made me think of him. But after spending these 3 years with you, I came to realize something. You're strong and surprisingly clever. By talking with you, I've gained courage and confidence countless times. That's why I feel like, with you by my side, I can overcome any hardships. God damn these two. Then what the hell happened? This is actually making me afraid for Pax. Like something happens here soon. Why doesn't Sieg go with him? They seem like the bros, like what happens? And it's probably just the expectations, but he doesn't follow through with it. There's a side, I keep going, but. Yeah, Sieg right now feels like he's supposed to go get married. Maybe that's why he says no. But no, we see in the future he's not with Sadiaru. So he doesn't choose that. What happens? So please, fight and stand alongside me. At that request, I agonized deeply. My father's words echoed in my mind. The words, I expect great things from you. My father was surely expecting me to marry Sadiaru, for the younger brother to achieve what the older brother could not. But your father also wants to help Pax, and Pax declined him, and now he can help him. Father, no doubt, with how much this whole thing with Pax weighed on Rui's heart. Again, right now he's trying to help Pax Jr. Ruiz would totally be okay with this. But again, we all know that he's not obsessed with this. He's not obsessed with the arranged marriage thing. It's just what the kids keep thinking. On top of that, my father has a particularly close relationship with the King of Asra. He may have some dealings with the King Dragon Realm as well, but he wants our family to be personally connected with the Asra royal family. No, Ariel just wants to. Again, why do they think this? It's just Ariel. Ariel just wants it. By doing so, our own household stability would also be secured. My father's expectations. Surely, those expectations do not include helping Pax, nor do they involve strengthening ties with the King Dragon Realm. What he expects is for me to marry Sadiaru and deepen our family's connections with the Kingdom of Asra. Following Pax would be completely outside those expectations. I mean, I'm surprised he doesn't say this, but I would probably take this further in the idea that not only is going with Pax not strengthening ties with the King Dragon Realms, it will potentially in the future destroy those ties. Because again, Pax will eventually want independence, and that will break it from the King Dragon Realm, and the King Dragon Realm's not going to like them having independence there in a strong point. And again, it's going to be right there next to Asra Kingdom too. It's between the two of them. This could potentially create problems more than anything. And even then, it wouldn't necessarily strengthen our relationship with the King Dragon Realm either. After all, Pax is a prince who is shunned by his own kingdom. There would be no benefit for my father in supporting him. On the contrary, it could very well bring harm. Okay, he's actually talking about it. It just seemed like it pivoted to something else, and now it's coming back to it. In fact, the harm would probably be greater. If Pax aimed for independence, that would mean directly opposing the King Dragon Realm. I'm surprised he's thinking about all this stuff in between him asking him that. It's sort of like one of those weird aspects of novels. Is that in their mind they think for like 5 minutes and then finally answer somebody. Following Pax would surely mean betraying his father's expectations. What's his father's expectations? You don't even know what your father's expectations are. The father who always protected us, the father I deeply respected. With that in mind, I couldn't give him an immediate answer. Just go talk to your dad and get the answer quick. He's got to find his dad first. I'm sorry, I forgot. He probably went back down to the store to get smokes again. I needed time to think, but Pax didn't wait for my reply. I just joked about this, and that's literally why he's doing this. He's sitting there thinking about what Dad wants. What does Dad want? What would Dad expect of me? And Pax is sitting there waiting. Sorry, let's just forget I asked. Ouch, dude. It actually hurts. It actually, like, legitimately hurts. Like, up in here. Again, it hurts. Poor Pax. Forget I asked. Just a few seconds. He's like, just like, like father, like son, right? Nobody wants to help me. I thought we were friends. They all left me. Look at all of them down there. They all hate me. Just like you. You hate me too, don't you? Nobody loves me. Just like his father. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants to be at my side. Just a few seconds after he asked that question, Pax said that and cut the conversation short. And that became our last conversation together in the kingdom of Asura. That's the last conversation, but it's implying together in the kingdom of Asura. So they're going to talk again later elsewhere. I'm reading too much in that. Moving on. After Pax returned to his homeland, I felt as though there was a gaping hole in my chest, like something had been ripped out of my heart. I felt empty, aimless, and without motivation. I no longer knew what I should do or how I should act. By refusing Pax's invitation, I had surely aligned myself with my father's wishes. But marrying Sariaru somehow felt like betraying Pax. I couldn't do it. Eh? After agonizing for several days, in the end, I returned to my family's home. I rejected Pax's invitation, betrayed my father's expectations, turned my back on everything, and became unemployed. Okay, logic. Okay. I'm like, I couldn't marry her either because of Pax, but I couldn't go with Pax because Dad. So I betrayed everyone, and now I'm unemployed, leeching off my father and my mother and my sister. Good job, Zeke. Chapter 11, currently master. Where do we go with all this stuff? I mean, we all know where it's going. Like, it's like, I know he's not going to go with Pax because he's back at home. I know he's not going to marry Sariaru because he's back at home. We all know where this is going. Just how we get there is a question mark. Apparently, we're going back home and we're just fighting with our master. That day, the place I headed to was outside of town. Before I left the Ashura Royal Academy, I used to go there almost every day. But ever since coming back, I hadn't set foot in there even once, outside the town. The building stood in a place where monsters roamed freely. It was 2 stories tall and had a somewhat rugged appearance, but otherwise it didn't stand out. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary house. However, in reality, it was reinforced throughout with a metal known as rudo steel, making it incredibly durable. The underground area was vast, containing teleportation circles that connected to locations all over the world, as well as an armory, a library, and a training facility. Okay, this is the, yeah, this is the castle of the dragon god Orsted. I'm about to say. But, interesting, they're pointing out this place is reinforced with rudo steel. I would assume the first time he built the place, it was probably most just like, you know, earth magic. Here it's specifically saying rudo steel. I wonder if this place is like insanely reinforced this time. You know, nobody going, there gonna be no ogre god coming in here and plowing through this place. It gonna take more than that because this is reinforced with steel. I wonder how much. When I was young, I became a disciple under my master here. At 15, I received recognition as a king-ranked practitioner of the North God style and set off for the kingdom of Asura. All right, right here, claiming that he was king tier. And again, the other guy was seen as potentially almost king, and he was taking him on with his fist. So I'm thinking he's even further than king tier at this point. I mean, he could be king tier and be able to take him on with fists. I can see that as well. Again, because North God style is very... it's odd. It uses whatever you have. The rankings go beginner, intermediate, advanced, saint, king, emperor, god. King tier is the third from the top, but since Emperor rank is considered nearly equal to God rank, there are less than 5 Emperor rank practitioners in each style. I mean, I don't see why that can't be the case. It kind of makes sense. I mean, the only case where we really had, like, walking into a building and seeing, like, this is the leadership, this is the high rankings, was a Sword God style. They had literally Galfalion in the middle, and then I think, was it 3 of the Emperors were there? There were multiple Emperor ranks that were in that room with him. But I guess they've never really kind of had like that for the North God style. There was never that for the Water God style, right? It was like going over here to Asura Kingdom. And again, the North God style is just mostly demons over here. But the Emperor rank being considered nearly equal to God rank, I don't think we've ever implied that before. It makes sense, don't get me wrong. Because again, that was the whole case with the Water God style. A lot of them wanted to take the God rank. But Rada stepped in with like this new style that was like a combination that was like unbeatable. They couldn't outrank her. They wanted to, and they were younger, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't take it from Rada. With the Sword God style, they all like respected Galfalion like this person that you shouldn't step up to. And even when somebody questioned, they were like, no, that's not the order you do things. It was like they wanted to have him there. It was very political in how they left Galfalion in that position. And there's nothing that really says that these emperors can't be God rank until they do it. That's the key thing there. A lot of them have the potential of being God tier. They just have to take it in a lot of cases. It really does, again, go back to that whole thing where these are all just technically titles. Everybody has the potential of taking the rank. It's just who goes for it. There's a lot of emphasis in the Sword God style, technically, that Saint tier is really just about having Sword of Light. Beyond that, it's just simply who beats who. King rank, therefore, is generally considered the highest rank for most. The North God style has more King rank practitioners than most, but even so, there are probably fewer than 50 in the entire world. Surprised it's that many. Actually, kind of surprised at that many. I can see a lot of Saint tiers, but I always feel like the King tiers are much more rarer. Emperor more so. Back then, full of hope and expectations, I thought I wouldn't be coming back here for at least 10 years. So, I made sure to say proper farewell. At our parting, my master said to me, "But do not forget my teachings, and always wield your sword with righteousness." It was a touching farewell. Because of that, having to return after only a few short years made it difficult for me to face this place again. It kind of reminds me of Ghislaine and Edis. It's like, well, Edis, we can come back here and see Ghislaine. It's okay. But then there was what happened yesterday. That masked man who suddenly appeared, Inazuma. I wanted to hear my master's true intentions regarding him. What? Okay. Oh, so we're after... Okay. It felt like this was like right after he left Asura. But again, he spent time here, and he's been becoming this hero, and it implies that he never ran into him ever again. Interesting. Even after coming home, this is the first time he's seen him. Huh. You would think that when he came back home from Asura, he would immediately go see his master again. Inside the building, the entrance resembled the waiting room of a clinic. There weren't many chairs for waiting, but a large counter stood prominently, and behind it stood a woman with long ears. When she saw me, her face lit up with a warm smile. "Oh, my Sieg, welcome. It's been quite a while, hasn't it?" "Yes, it has. It's been some time." Her name was Filiasia. Apparently got the name wrong. There's a note here that Refugian or Sieg, one of the two, forgot them. I do remember Rudius had a big problem remembering her name, so I don't doubt that he probably told Sieg the wrong name. She served as a receptionist here, handling visitors who came into the office. As someone of long-eared race, she had a strikingly beautiful appearance. "Ah, but I suppose I shouldn't be calling you Sieg anymore, should I? Perhaps Mr. Sieg would be more appropriate?" "Please don't." Aside from her, the primary residents of this office were 3 individuals. First, the head of the office, Dragon God Orsted. Second, my father, and Orsted's right hand, the Mage King, Rudius Greyrat. And third, my master, and Orsted's left hand, the North God Kalman III, Alexander Ryback. These 3 were names that echoed across the world. Lord Orsted rarely appeared in public, but when the 3 of them stood together, it felt like no one alive could stand against them. Together with my father, they worked tirelessly to prepare for the resurrection of the demon god, who wouldn't return for about 30 years from now. Put simply, they were striving for a future full of peace. When I was younger, I thought that sounded cool, but in practice, what they mostly did was build connections with powerful people from various nations and prepare allies for a war that would take place around 50 years in the future. But we just changed that. We went from 30 to 50. We went from 30 to 50. Apparently, Refugia made a mistake. Doesn't really matter. It was far less glamorous than I had imagined. My father worked tirelessly, putting all that energy into it, but my master did little outside of guarding Lord Orsted. As for Lord Orsted himself, what exactly he did was completely unknown to me. Well, they probably just keeping things tightly under wraps so outsiders wouldn't learn anything. Yeah, that is interesting that Sieg does not know what Orsted does. Because again, the assumption here would be that, they would tell him, yeah, technically, he probably stands at guard for Orsted because they don't want Orsted doing anything. But again, Orsted technically did, use a lot of his mana in order to accept help. Regardless, stepping into his office was nerve-wracking. There were 3 people here who could obliterate me with a flick of their finger. Though since my father wasn't here today, I suppose that makes it 2. Dad's always not there. Are you here to greet Lord Orsted? No, I came to see my master today. If it's Lord Alexander you seek, he's in the training facility underground. Understood. I should probably greet Lord Orsted as well. After all, he's technically my father's master, and the one our Greyrat family serves. That said, Lord Orsted dislikes people. He rarely leaves this place. And while he didn't treat us coldly when he visited, since we're my father's children, I'm no longer a child. I should know my place and act appropriately. Orsted likes you guys. Shut up, Sieg. She likes you. With that in mind, I headed from the reception area down into the basement. I walked along a dimly lit corridor, heading towards the training facility. The training facility was like a large gymnasium with high ceilings. Magic circles were etched into the floor to absorb impact, suppress destructive magic, and heal injuries. When I first became my master's disciple, this facility didn't exist. We used to train with swords in the open fields behind the office. But when I turned 10, my father expanded the underground space using earth magic and built this facility for me. I thought he didn't know about it. I thought he was training with Alexander without him knowing in secret. Apparently, Sieg knew that Rudius knew. Since then, I have learned swordsmanship here directly from my master, the Northgod style, the greatest sword style in the world. I kind of like it. I think of the 3, I would probably like Water God style the most. I like the whole counter thing. I think it's super cool. But I can't help it. Yeah, I think Northgod style is the most fun. It just seems like it's the most fun because it's so anything goes. Like it just feels like anything goes. It's not counters. It's not like the first hits aggressive. It's just like anything goes. But I think Water God style is probably the most OP. Again, if Rada was still around, I think she would still be like the most powerful person. Some claim the Sword God style, with its one-hit kill techniques, is stronger, or that there's no style that can defeat the Water God style in a one-on-one duel. But I can say this with absolute certainty. The North God style is the finest school of swordsmanship. I'm just gonna say it. Like, this is cool because this is cool, but this is cool because I said so. I would like to say it's the strongest, but as someone like me, who's still far from reaching that peak, saying so would be presumptuous. Even my master, the pinnacle of the North God style, and the third North God Kalman, was defeated by my father, who was a mage, and by Lord Orsted himself. So perhaps it truly isn't the strongest. But the North God style is unique. It is the only style that embodies true justice. What? What? Master. My master was sitting in the center of the training hall, all alone without even holding a sword, his back turned to the entrance, quietly seated. He didn't move a muscle. He was perfectly still, like a stone statue. Seeing that, I stopped speaking and sat down at the entrance of the training hall. A single blink. Before I knew it, my master was standing. He rose to his feet, with his back still turned towards me, and assumed a stance. Even though there was no sword in his hand, I could tell he was gripping an invisible blade. Another blink. Vertical slash. Horizontal slash. Diagonal slash. In the single instant it took me to blink, my master's sword had swung 3 times, a speed that could rival even the Sword God style. The current Sword God could probably swing 4 or 5 times in that same span. Another blink. My master had moved right in front of me. It was not surprising. Some techniques of the North God style are performed in rhythm with the blinks or heartbeats of those nearby. What? It- it's so great. I can't even take it seriously. I'm like, is that real or is that just some BS they make up because it's so cool sounding? Again, this is like a bunch of choonies. Like, these two are dorks. So I don't even know if that's true. Like, there's some style that like goes by the blinks and the heartbeats of those around them. That sounds like BS they make up because it sounds cool. Those kinds of techniques are typically a specialty of the Water God style. I can see that because, again, Water God style has to read your opponents. And you can tell a lot by looking at somebody's eyes. Where they look. What are they reading? Are they thinking? If you're looking around, you're typically like searching for something in your head. If you're talking to somebody and they're doing this, they're probably trying to think of something. It's just sort of like you're searching your brain, your eyes just kind of are following the searching. You can read a lot from somebody's eyes. So again, the Water God style, that makes sense. Those kinds of techniques are typically a specialty of the Water God style, and even for my master, unless it's someone he knows very well. It's difficult to time them perfectly. I, however, was someone he knew well. Hey there, Sieg. It's been a while. My master looked at me and smiled. It's rare of you to come see me. He sat down in front of me and said that, looking cheerful, as if nothing had happened yesterday. I forgot they just had that stupid fight. It's been a while. You haven't shown me your face ever since you came back here, so I thought maybe you started to dislike me. My master gave me the same smile he had when we parted ways years ago. I just found it a bit hard to come by. So, what brings you here today? Looking to earn the title of North God? No, not at all. If I said I wanted it, my master would gleefully fight me, and with his overwhelming strength, he'd defeat me. And as I lay collapsed on the ground, he'd smile and say, You still got a long way to go. If by some miracle I won, I'd become the head of the North God style, the North God himself. Not that there was any other disciples besides me. That sounds weird. It's a lot over on Demon Continent. I mean, his disciples. I just have something I wanted to ask you. Oh? What is it? Wait, let me guess. Let me see. Yes. You seem to have that look you have whenever there's something bothering you. Okay, I've got it. You've got something on your mind, don't you? Stupid conversation this. I wouldn't say I don't. I've been told I'm not the best person to consult with. But if you got something, I'll listen. He's still a dork, but he's become such a good boy. I've learned many things from my master over the years. However, when it came to giving advice about worries, he wasn't very reliable. My master was too simple-minded. Even though things are made up of many elements and factors, he tended to think about them too simplistically. On top of that, he had a loose tongue. If I told him something, my father would probably hear about it before the day was over. Like the fact that you were training underneath him, well, that was through Rudius knew, and it was technically confirmed through Orsted. No, I didn't come to talk about my worries today. Really? Then what for? About yesterday. Yesterday? What about it? After finishing my duty guarding Lord Orsted, I was here the whole time, busy meditating. No chance to go outside. Lord Orsted can vouch for me. What? 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 There's another Thunder idiot? I just don't think he's smart enough to lie. I just don't think he's smart enough to lie. Is it Sander? Kalman the Second, maybe? Dude, if it was Kalman the Second, that would be great. That would be great. What a twist that would be. But yeah, that does seem a little sus that he's going through this whole great detail just because he said yesterday. All I said was yesterday. Yet he immediately blurted out an alibi for last night in a flustered tone. How very obvious. My master was never good at lying. Alec Thunder, so is that why you chose Inazuma? I guess that could be a play off of there. I just was immediately assuming that it was a Japanese name. Note says the name Alexander is written as Adixusanda. Yeah, Adixusanda. That said, if we take the Sanda part, it sounds exactly like the English word thunder. Also, the name Inazuma obviously translates to thunder, so it's origin of the thunder god. So this is the origin of the thunder god title that was in Redundancy 3. So anyways, the Sanda part is like thunder. Sanda, thunder. It's just in Japanese way. That's basically where it's coming from. Alexander, so is that why you chose Inazuma? I said it like I was fishing for a reaction. Then my master's head shut up in surprise. Bingo. Did you just say Inazuma? He was wearing a black helmet? Huh? That wasn't the reaction I was expecting. Master, please stop pretending. Inazuma is the number 2 of the most powerful organization around here, the Shadow Legion. The Shadow Legion? The Shadow Legion is a terrifying group that commits every kind of atrocities imaginable. No one knows the full extent of their power. Even we can't lay a finger on them. They're that massive. No, Master, you're Inazuma, right? Inazuma used to be my disciple. Training under me. His rank was North Emperor. I eventually expelled him, but to think he went and joined the Shadow Legion. He's holding on so hard for this one. He won't let it go. It's gotta be my disciple, Inazuma. No, Master, stop. Such an overly elaborate line. My master was simple and bad at lying, but he excelled at pushing through with sheer force. No matter how much evidence you piled up, no matter how clearly you told him you knew the truth, he would brazenly keep pretending. Sieg, both Inazuma and the Shadow Legion are terrifying opponents. You must never get involved with them. What should I do? I wonder if he's trying to push him away from that situation because he doesn't want him to get involved. Again, my assumption is that Alexander is trying to keep him away from that noble. What should I do? I can't figure out why my master is telling such lies, or why he protected the nobleman either. I would ask, why do you think the Shadow Legion is protecting this nobleman? Master, do you know what the man from yesterday was doing? The man from yesterday? Who are you talking about? Viscount, but still, the fat one. When I said that, my master nodded with an awe. He just feeds right into it. Second richest noble in the town. Yes, him. He's been forming blood relations with failing noble families and providing them with financial support. He was trying to force an innocent young girl into marriage to satisfy his own desires. When I said that, my master grimaced. Could it be that he didn't know? Of course, my master, who once aimed to be a hero, would never forgive a man like that. Or so I thought. But then my master took a small slip of paper from his pocket. Looking at it, he said, he may be a little lustful, but he's a good-natured man. Clearly, he does things to make you frown. But this incident will surely serve as a good lesson for him. Who wrote that? A cue card. Who wrote this? Is it Rudius? Who wrote that? Did he write this up beforehand because he knew it was going to be... What is... He was supposed to read that when he was in the fight. Was he supposed to read that cue card when he was fighting? And he didn't get a chance to? So he just said his goodbyes and Sieg left. Just like the lies earlier and those overly explanatory lines. You see, my master was asked by someone to play this role. If that's the case, this being at the place yesterday was no coincidence. Surely Rudius isn't involved. Rudius isn't this involved with his kids. I don't see him putting this all together. There aren't many who could persuade my master to take part in such a farce. However, there are also rumors that he's been providing funds to the Shadow Legion. Surely, the reason you ended up fighting Inazuma was because of that. I never said anything about a fight. Well, my master was bad at lying, so this was just how he is. Unfortunately, I don't know where the Shadow Legion is. Perhaps someone knowledgeable about this town's criminals might know, but I'm afraid I can't be of help. He's talking like an NPC. He's like giving out a quest right now. If only there was somebody, possibly in the underbelly of this town, that could possibly let you know. You should check with them first. Question mark. After saying that, my master clammed up like an oyster. This must mean that if I gather information around town, I'll naturally learn about the Shadow Legion. I let out a sigh and stood up. Honestly, I had expected this would happen sooner or later. That nobleman must have connection to Lord Orsted and his associates. If he was the second richest man in town, it's possible he had been providing funds to Lord Orsted himself. If someone attacked such a man, Lord Orsted's subordinates wouldn't stay quiet. And when someone interferes with Lord Orsted's plans, two people step forward. My master, Alexander, and my father, Rudius.
I don't think they've ever really indicated this much connection to the town. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I don't think they've ever implied, like, giving a rat's butt about nobles in the town. Unless, like usual, this guy being around facilitates for this to happen or this person to be born that will be critical for, again, some ally for him in the war against Laplace. The person behind this farce is probably my father. It's hard to imagine my father setting up something like this, though. Ever since I returned to this town, I've been avoiding my father. I'm sure I disappointed him. I didn't marry Sadiadu. I didn't help my father. I just drifted around as a jobless bum. And to top it off, I went around playing the part of an ally of justice. I'm certain I haven't lived up to the expectation he said he had in me. I was terrified of what he might say. Would he scold me? Get angry? Yeah, technically this all kind of confirms why he's been so heavily avoiding his father. Because again, when he came back here, I failed to marry Sadiadu. Or maybe tell me to get out of the house. But if my father is disappointed, then it's fine. If he were to say, you disappoint me, and scold me or rebuke me, that would still be okay. What I feared most is the possibility of him saying nothing at all. There it is again. There's again. Just like Otis. No expectations, never says anything. That's worse. A lack of knowing what's expected of you is worse than having a poor expectation. Saying, I expect nothing of you, child, is better than never knowing if there was an expectation or if you're even fulfilling it. The unknowns, basically. That would mean he wasn't even disappointed. That his words of, I expect great things of you, were nothing more than lip service. That to him, I was like air. Someone who didn't matter if I was there or not. Just like during the gray days at the academy. I wouldn't be able to bear it. Even now, I respected father. I swear, dude. I go back to what I said before. People got mad at me for criticizing Rudius for being a poor father, a bad father. And again, Refugin countless times over and over keeps iterating. Rudius has a lack of communication to his children, and every single one of them suffers because of it. Yeah, I can, again, understand Rudius had a lot of problems in his life. But I keep going back to my point. When it affects children, and he's having a lot of them, he keeps pumping them out. He's pumping out children left and right, and he's failing to raise them properly, and they are all suffering their entire lives because of it. Eventually, they grow into something, but damn blessing that they do. But they all suffer their entire childhood not knowing their father, what their father wants, and being, and this isn't Rudius' fault, being absolutely crushed under the expectations that his legacy created around them. Everybody, he's in there, they're all in his shadow. Having this ray of this podium that Rudius is on, just shining upon them and melting them constantly. It's a sad family. And again, I respect Refugin for being able to do that. I can no longer say that I wanted to be like him, but I still respected him. I get that. Again, before it was because he's a hero. He does all these great things. He's powerful. I want to be just like him. Cheddar. Again, he thought he was Cheddarman. Now, he doesn't see him as a good person because he might potentially be helping somebody that he finds unjust. If my father treated me that way, I wouldn't be able to endure it. Should I go or not go? No. He went out of his way to prepare this farce. Surely he has something he wants to say. So he's dead set on that Rudius is involved with this as a farce for him. Until now, my father never said anything, even though I was jobless. When I returned from the Royal Academy and told him I didn't want to do anything, he just nodded and said, I see. Okay, so he's talked to him since he came back. News? We're jumping around too much. I wish this was... This should have been clarified a long time ago. We're jumping around too much. It makes it feel like he hasn't talked to his father since he left that freaking party. But now, he's going to say something. Maybe he'll scold me for trying to hit that nobleman. But whatever it is, he'll say something. See, are you going? Yes. I see. Then I won't stop you. At least, take this with you. Stages to go alone. Take this. Doo-doo-doo-doo. My master nodded with a theatrical tone and offered me a sword. It's literally a sword. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. It's a sword. Oh my gosh. Refugin, you're a dork. He's bad at lying and delivering lines, but he's really good at stuff like this. No, the sword is unnecessary. I have no intentions of fighting, nor of using a sword. An ally of justice always fights barehanded. I stood up. Honestly, I wanted my master to come with me, or rather, to guide me there. But my master surely has a job waiting for him now. To get changed and lie in wait. Okay. I thought it was implying that he had to go talk to his father. But no, he's going and he knows he's going to fight Alexander. To get changed and lie in wait. It would be wrong to ruin this farce he went out of his way to set up. Sig. Suddenly, he called out to me, and I turned back. Before you go, I want you to answer one question. Question? Yeah, it's nothing big. His tone was different from the theatrical voice, an explanatory tone from before. It was the nostalgic, genuine tone of my master. He must really want to know something. That said, I could already guess the question. Why am I doing this? Why don't I work? Something like that. I don't see Alexander really thinking that far. Let's go back a little bit. I don't see that boy thinking about that kind of stuff. Normally I would talk about nobility or being jobless, but it seemed my master already knew that I was acting as an ally of justice. In that case, perhaps I should speak of justice instead. Would my master scold me with words similar to my mother's? But if it's my master, the master who once taught me what it meant to be an ally of justice, maybe he would be different. I wanted to ask, but I was also afraid. Sure, what do you want to ask? My master peered into my face, as if trying to read my true feelings, asked, why didn't you use a sword? The guy who taught me everything, taught me how to be an ally of justice. Why don't you use a sword, dude? Why do you punch things? These are dorks. They're a bunch of dorks. Oh my god. I was at a loss for words. That's because it was a question I hadn't anticipated. But it wasn't just that. It's because I didn't really know how to answer myself. Ever since Sig, you're an idiot. Oh my god, he's an idiot. He's such an idiot. Ever since I returned to the magic city of Shiraya, I hadn't touched the sword. All of my activities as an ally of justice had been done barehanded. So, the true answer was, I don't know. Because my justice doesn't need weapons. However, those were words I had only once heard from my father. Cheddarman doesn't use weapons. From beginning to end, he fights evil with his bare hands. Again, that makes sense. Again, this goes back to kind of a childish mentality here. But again, he also seen that a lot of things weren't as simple as the stories from Cheddarman. So it's odd that he's still holding on to that thing. Here's all the things that just doesn't make sense in the world of Cheddarman. Like the whole idea that evil doesn't just appear in the street and go, ha ha ha, come over here, I'm the bad guy. You have to find them. You have to get information. So why he would see that that's too simple. Bare hands is too simple. Evil gets away if you use your bare hands. I thought it was just a style thing. It looked cool or whatever. That's because his strength isn't meant for fighting bad guys, but for helping the weak. His justice lies in helping the weak, and for that, excessive weapons aren't necessary. Justice, huh? My master let out something like a sigh. I admit, there was a slightly underhanded thought that this would satisfy him. Once, my master had wielded an incredibly powerful weapon and rampaged arrogantly. He mistook the weapon's strength for his own, but after being defeated by my father and Lord Orsted, he repented and gave up his sword. He realized he was still immature and had much to learn. Since then, he no longer used so-called divine swords or magic swords. The only sword he uses now is a nameless one that's simply durable and sharp. Given that, I thought my master would understand my reasons for not using a sword. True. Again, this is something that Kalman II learned, and eventually Kalman III learned, and it seems like based on those stories and Cheddarman, Sig is doing the same thing.
I think justice needs a sword. But my prediction was wrong, and my master said that instead. Why? Because you're trying to fight evil. Even without fighting, you can help people, but you're choosing to fight evil. You deliberately go out of your way to go where evil resides. I thought I was going to go on a route that your father used a weapon. Your father, when fighting evil, took upon himself weapons and allies to fight something. All of them having weapons. This isn't protecting people. It's fighting evil, which isn't a turn, protecting people. But you're on a battlefield. You're going into the enemy territory. Bring a weapon. It's perfectly fine. Your father did it. You can too. But this is more putting in the idea that, again, sort of playing off of the talk about Cheddar Man, you're going into a bad territory. Bring it with you. Which makes me question if there's a chance here that Alexander wants to give him a leg up. He wants Sig to fight at full strength and potentially beat him. I'm wondering if he's setting up for Sig to be able to take him down. Like, he knows that Sig's strong enough. If he wields a weapon, he could beat me and he could take the North God title. Now again, there's multiple North Gods. It's not as if he has to take the title from him. It's not as if they both can't be North Gods. I don't deliberately go where evil resides. Then were you just coincidentally present in a place like that? My master spoke as if he no longer intended to hide anything and sat down again, leaning forward with his knees raised. You're trying to fight evil, aren't you? Then you need a sword. Why is that? Or you've probably seen how he nearly died. Because an ally of justice must never lose. If you lose, you can't save others. Just like I said before, with the whole idea of like feeding yourself and having money. You need money and food to survive, to fight more. If you're going to fight, you must not lose. If you must not lose, then you need a sword. A very simple theory, very much like my master. Precisely because it was so simple, I couldn't find words to argue back. And besides, you once aspired to become someone who would fight with all of your might against opponents you had no chance of defeating. In other words, a hero. That's why I taught you the sword. When I was young, I swung a sword with the intent of becoming that kind of person, someone I admired. My master would call them heroes. I would call them an ally of justice. The nuance is slightly different, but both mean someone who defeats great evil and saves the weak. Of course, that was a long time ago. Now that you're an adult, there's no need to force yourself to become a hero. But right now, you're about to head into a battle against a powerful foe. You'll need a sword, won't you? If the one I was heading towards was my father, then a sword would be necessary. In the first place, I wouldn't even fight. There was no way I could bring myself to attack my father. But my master was talking about something entirely different. He was reprimanding me for my current state. It's surprising that he's thinking this far about it. Going back to the father, though, I kind of think that it's still kind of playing it out that this shadow organization is going to be led by Rudius, and the reason why he needed to go get changed was because he's going to be like a mini boss. Like, it's playing it out like he's got to go meet his father, and Alexander is going to be like a henchman for him or something. Or is it that you've simply rotted, that you're just venting all that pent-up frustration you've accumulated by beating on those weaker than you? Are you saying I'm bullying the weak to blow off steam? I don't see Alexander thinking this far, but that would be an interesting direction to take it. Using justice as an excuse, venting frustrations by bullying the weak, huh? Maybe that's true. Certainly. Ever since I started being a so-called ally of justice, I haven't fought anyone stronger than me. Yesterday, I had a bit of a tough fight, but even then, I still had energy to spare. No, I've known all along. To say I didn't understand would be a lie. Ally of justice, noble unemployed man. Those were nothing more than excuses and justifications for my current situation. Again, I was thinking that Alexander's going way too crazy into something, but it could be something that has been told for him to say. But this could lead into something that technically makes sense in the idea that what started this whole thing. Again, I was trying to figure out how we got from him hanging out with Pax and all that crazy stuff there, him giving up on being a hero. What made him get back to being a hero? And I thought potentially it was the fact that Pax brewed something up in him again. Seeing how much Pax was so dead set on, this is what I'm going to do. He has aspirations. He has dreams that
he's fighting for. I want to go back to my dream. But here, I'm thinking the direction it's going is the idea that when he failed to meet the expectations that he was creating in his own head that Rudius had for him, and because he failed to follow Pax, because he failed both these individuals, he's venting his frustrations by becoming a hero. He's making up an excuse for why he's doing what he's doing, but in actuality, he's just running away from everything. He's running away from a job. He's running away from getting married. He's running away from potential brides. He's running away from Rudius. He's running away from Pax. He's running away from everything because he failed these two individuals. This is my excuse to run away. I'm an ally of justice. Those were nothing more than excuses and justifications for my current situation. Not using a sword was just another part of it, because being an ally of justice was, in the end, nothing more than make-believe. If I am really just rotting, then will you expel me? Of course not. I just wanted to hear what's been troubling you, that's all. Then, my master shrugged as he said that, then stood up. But, seems like I'm not the one you should be talking to about your troubles. Then he pointed towards the exit of the training ground. Go on. If you tell your warriors the right person, I'm sure you'll easily get an answer. My master said that with an uncharacteristically sad and lonely look. What? 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 I'm trying to get the look. I'm wondering if he's kind of feeling a little bit of his father in that whole situation. Him and his father in their situation. I was walking through town. It might have been the first time I've ever seen my master look so lonely. Would it have been better if I told him my worries? No. Even if I told him, I doubt I would have gotten an answer. My chest feels kind of tight. I have worries. I haven't married. I don't have a job. I'm unemployed. Of course, that troubles me. But I doubt my master would give me an answer. He's too straightforward, so he wouldn't understand my worries. He'd just simply say something like, why don't you do this? Something that's much easier said than done. I get that, but there's also a side of it that sometimes a simple response is best for some people. In some cases, having a very simple response is better. Talking to somebody who thinks about things in a simple way can make you realize that you're overcomplicating it, basically. I've had times where people come to me with like an hour-long explanation about what they're going through, the difficulties they're going through. And sometimes my response is really like, I don't mean to discount what you're going through, but isn't this kind of the most important thing? Like the rest of it, I understand that sucks. Like this is going wrong with you. This is a problem that you're facing, but I think the thing you need to focus on is the immediate responsibility. Like, you know, if it's a family, the most important thing is your kid there. Like, I understand that you're having a problem with your spouse or your cousin or your job or, you know, this bill that you got, but like put most of your effort into this should be number one. The other stuff comes second. This is the number one thing. And it's that simple look at things because I'm an outside perspective and I can kind of ignore these things because they're not my problems. I can ignore all these complicated things because this one thing. That could be the same situation. Alexander never seemed to be the most smartest person in the world, but maybe the simplicity is a good thing sometimes. As I was lost in my thoughts, I found myself standing in front of a tavern, the Drunken Goblin. It's a tavern I visited almost every day. Are they going to get implied this dude is actually Rudius in a disguise? The guy that... Oh my god, it's all clicking now. Oh, is Georges going to be Rudius in a disguise? I can see it. Is the only time that Rudius actually learns about his kids is through Sieg as Georges? Please don't. Please don't. It's gonna be so pathetic, it's not even funny. Please don't. It's a tavern I visit almost every day. My feet must have brought me here out of sheer habit. There aren't any goblins around here. Why are we joking the goblin joke? So why goblin? I remember asking someone about that once. The answer I got was this: because everyone who comes to this tavern is a bunch of petty scoundrels, just like goblins. If you leave them alone, they multiply, and occasionally soldiers from the castle have to come wipe them out, or some noble kills them for fun. Pretty similar, right? They said. As I stepped into the tavern, I remembered that exchange. Perhaps to me, all those people I've been beating up have been like goblins in my eyes as well. Honestly, I felt like drinking. When was the last time I had a drink? Was it the day of the graduation ceremony at the Osra Royal Academy? At the very least, since I came back here, I haven't had a single drop of alcohol. The only reason I've been coming to this tavern is to gather information. The tavern owner has offered me food and drink out of kindness, but at least today, let's stop. Alcohol is a symbol of evil. If I get drunk and lose my senses, even I don't know what I might do. Yo, Georges. Yo, Sig. How's it going? As I sat down in front of him, a thick stench of alcohol hit my nose. It seemed Georges had been drinking more than usual today. Well, so, I guess. How about you? Not so great. I didn't make much money yesterday. Georges said that with a cheerful grin, tugging at the corners of his mouth. It can't be Rudius, because this dude's here all the time. Like, every time he comes here, this dude's waiting. It can't be Rudius. Rudius can't be here all the time, waiting for him to show up. Huh, that's rare. It's unusual to hear you say something like that. Georges always seemed to be doing well financially. Yet since he never had much money on hand, I figured he was just blowing it all somewhere. I guess there are days when he just doesn't earn much. I guess that information about Lily didn't get him much. The information about Lily didn't get much money for him. But for someone who says that, you seem to be in a pretty good mood. Yesterday is yesterday. Today is today. Today, I got a big job lined up. So in the end, business is good after all, huh? So that's why he's in a good mood. Well, maybe. But starting today, I might not be able to earn much anymore. Really? Yeah, really. It's all coming to an end. I'm thinking way too much into this. It's all Rudius. I had always heard he made money doing day jobs, but lately he had been doing something more steady. As an informant, that kind of work shouldn't matter much, though. No, wait. Could it be? Hey, Georges? Do you know anything about the Shadow Legion? When I said that, Georges froze up with a shocked expression. Then, after glancing nervously around the area, he leaned in close to me. Idiot! Keep your voice down. What if someone hears you? Huh? Oh, my bad. Shadow Legion, you say? Where'd you hear that name? That's dangerous stuff to be talking about. It seemed Georges did indeed know about the Shadow Legion. I swear this better be an actual freaking organization. And not just some BS they all made up. Which meant, in other words, Georges was someone connected to my father or my master. Unless, of course, I was completely mistaken and this wasn't some elaborate setup. But thinking back, almost all the information I'd gotten about the bad guys had come from Georges. No wonder his business was always booming. He'd been feeding me intel on criminals while getting paid by my father. Well, I can't blame Georges. So right here he's even connecting it. That it's Rudius that's feeding this stuff to him. Well, I can't blame Georges. He was just doing his job. They're the worst scum in this town. Even that Orsted won't lay a hand on them. Don't carelessly speak their name. You never know where their underlings are hiding. Georges' face turned pale as he glanced nervously around again. Then, after confirming that no one was watching us, he asked me in a low voice, So, what do you want to know about the Shadow Legion? Georges sure is good at acting. Their location, like their base. Sig, don't tell me. Georges recoiled, his eyes wide in what seemed like terror. But then he quickly shook his head. No, knowing you, I figured that's exactly what you do once you learn about them. As if to say, that's why I never told you before. Their hideout is here. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket and pressed it into my hand. I just happen to have a map in my pocket. You think you've triggered the question mark above my head. Here's the paper you need. It's so cheesy. When I unfolded it, I saw an incredibly detailed map. It was so precise, it made me wonder why he'd been carrying something like this around. And near the center of the map, there was an X mark. That must be the base. Georges, thank you. Don't mention it. Georges rubbed under his nose as he said that. He probably thought he was putting on a convincing act, tricking me into believing him. But really, I'd already figured it out. I couldn't help but feel a little guilty. It's going to be so great if this isn't what he thinks. Like, Rudius has nothing to do with this stuff. and Alec has nothing to do with any of this stuff. It's just like all in Sig's head. I don't see Rudius doing all this stuff. That's the reason why I'm actually starting to believe that Sig is just chasing a rabbit hole right here. He's chasing something that's not existing. I don't see Rudius doing this. The peace of this town. I'm entrusting it to you, Moon Knight. Feeling guilty, I decided to play along with Georges. I put on a look of surprise, then tightened my expression into a determined one as I met his gaze and gave a firm nod. Yeah, I'm off. Then I stood up. That said, Georges was probably doing all this because he was getting paid by my father. Thinking about it that way left me feeling a little uneasy. Okay, so he's not Rudius in disguise, but he's probably, he's getting info for Rudius. Hey, ask him about, how Lily's doing, and then give him the information in return. Hey, Sig, what is it? I'm sorry. For a moment, I didn't understand what that apology meant, but aside from gathering information, he and I also had casual conversations. Those moments had never been unpleasant. It was probably the same for him, too. As proof of that, this one word wasn't delivered in his usual theatrical tone. It was blunt, plain, probably his true self. He's feeling bad for the fact that he's been misleading Sig this entire time, which again implies this has been going on for a long time, that Rudius has been, potentially Rudius has been using him. So yeah, that goes against that theory that this could all be a bunch of BS and that it's actually Shadow Legion and Rudius is not involved. That right there tells me no, Rudius is involved. Surprising that Rudius is involved in his son like this. It sucks that I have zero trust in Rudius as a father. Oh, these redundancy volumes in this has really ruined it for me. The patrons of the Drunken Goblin were like goblins themselves, easily killed. They were powerless, living day to day, making a little money, sometimes dabbling in small-time shady dealings. Just petty criminals. But even petty criminals have at least a few friends. Thinking that, I left the tavern. Let's go to where my father is. I'm going to call it there. That is chapter 11. We go on to chapter 12, now Father. And like I said earlier, these acts are extremely long, and so I'm going to call it there because my recording's already extremely long, and I cannot do another, what is potentially another 11 pages, which we already went through 17 of them. So that tells you, again, this act is long. We just went through 17. That's 11 pages just for this next chapter. So yeah, we're gonna call it here. But yeah, what a good set of chapters. What a good set of chapters. Okay, the first set of chapters around the past with Pax, that hurt. That legitimately is that's probably my favorite part of this entire volume. I really like that segment with Sig and Pax. Seeing where Pax Jr. is actually going to go, and that brief moment of trying to pull him into it. There's a side of me that almost wonders if eventually Rudius learns about Pax and will eventually push Sig that way. Or with him sort of doing this whole facade and this big crazy thing, will Sig get that bump in his own mind by Rudius' actions to want to go help out Pax? Could he eventually finally get from Rudius, do what you want to do? And he goes, I want to do this. I want to go with Pax. I want to go get Sadiaru and go run down there with Pax. And just grab my girl and go down with Pax. It could be. But yeah, that bit was, again, so good. And this whole bit right here is just dorky. It got me thinking in 5 different directions of okay, is it really just all a ploy by Rudius? Is it actually a ploy by him? Was Rudius this entire time he's playing this ally justice? Was Rudius finding some free time out of his never open schedule to build a secret organization and basically constantly being in contact with his Georges guy? Why is he contacting Georges rather than talking to his own son directly? Why is he doing this whole goofy thing with his informant just to feed him information? Why does he just talk to his boy? Is it even all like that? Is Sig just making this all up in his head and it's not actually true? We'll find out. But we'll see again next week as we finish out this act, and we'll dig into the final act a little bit. which I'm kind of curious to get into as well. But chat, I hope you guys enjoy this Mushoku Monday. As always fun every single week coming here. This has actually been a lot more enjoyable of a volume than I originally expected. I really had no expectations for Sieg, but this has been good so far, and I cannot wait for more. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you chat, did you enjoy it? Let me know. But I thank you guys for dropping by. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. You guys don't hit that enough, Babaka. It hurts my feelings every time I see the likes, and it's like, that many people watched it, but only this many people hit the like button? For shame. But I appreciate you guys' support. I appreciate you guys dropping by. All the VOD watchers out there, too. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I know a lot of people, the timelines doesn't really match for some people. For some reason, they're on the other side of this planet. It's weird. I don't know why you're over on that side of it, but it happens. You gotta live with it, right? But I appreciate you guys' support, all your kind words, all that stuff. Help me get through this journey. And yes, most importantly, thank you to everybody that supports the channel monetarily through Patreon, tips, links, super thanks, memberships. Thank you. It makes a great deal to me. But with that said, I've recorded way too much today, not just Mushoku Monday, so my throat is about to give out. Until the next Mushoku Monday, y'all take care. Inazuma is the number 2 of the most powerful Inazuma is the number 2 of the most powerful Inazuma is number 2 of the most powerful evil organization around. He's in the underground training facility. He's in the underground training facility. This is where I feel most comfortable.